Hello. Tisha is the saddest day on the Jewish calendar. History is full of catastrophic events that befell us Jews on Tisha. One of them is the destruction of the Second Temple by the Romans in the year 70. Why was it destroyed? Tradition always pins the blame for terrible tragedies on Jewish communities, on misbehavior by the Jews themselves. In this case, the Talmud tells us that the temple was destroyed because of senseless hatred, sinat hinam. The common interpretation is that the fighting among Jewish factions made it easier for the Romans to win the war. But elsewhere, the Talmud says that the senseless hatred was a lot more focused, that the catastrophic war against Roman occupation, the death of more than 1 million Jews, and the destruction of Jerusalem and the Second Temple happened because of a strange backwater chain of events. Here's the story in Tractate Gittin. Quote, Jerusalem was destroyed on account of Kamsa and Bar Kamsa. A certain man had a friend, Kamsa, and an enemy, Bar Kamsa. He once made a large feast and said to his servants, Go bring me Kamsa. The man went and brought him Bar Kamsa instead, by mistake. When the man who gave the party found him there, he said, You are my enemy. What do you want here? Get up and leave. The other said, Since I'm here, do not put me to shame. Let me stay and I will pay you for whatever I eat and drink. Or I will sit without eating or drinking anything. He said, I won't let you stay. You must go. Bar Kamsa said, Then let me give you half the cost of the party. No, said the other. Bar Kamsa said, Then let me pay for the whole party. The other still said no, and he grabbed him by the hand, stood him up, and took him out. Bar Kamsa said to himself, The rabbis were sitting there and did not protest his actions. This shows that they agreed with him. I will go and inform against them to the government. He went and said to the emperor, Nero, The Jews have rebelled against you. The emperor said, Can you prove it? Bar Kamsa said to him, They eat themselves the sacrifices you send them instead of offering them in the temple, and substitute inferior animals. Send them an offering and see whether they will offer it on the altar. So the emperor sent with him a choice calf. While on the way, Bar Kamsa made a blemish on its upper lip in a place where we Jews count it as a blemish, but the Romans don't. The rabbis were inclined to offer it so as to avoid offending the government. But Rabbi Zechariah ben Avkolas said to them, People will say that blemished animals are offered on the altar. The Torah does not allow this. Then they proposed to kill Bar Kamsa so that he should not go and inform against them. But Rabbi Zechariah ben Avkolas said to them, Is one who makes a blemish on consecrated animals to be put to death? That's not in the Torah. As a result, they neither sacrificed the emperor's animal nor killed the informer. The emperor then sent against them Vespasian, who would later become emperor himself. He came and besieged Jerusalem for 3 years and destroyed it and the temple. Hence the popular saying, Because of Kamsa and Bar Kamsa, the temple was destroyed. Rabbi Yochanan thereupon remarked, Also the scrupulousness of Rabbi Zechariah ben Avkolas destroyed our temple, burned our sanctuary, and exiled us from the lands. Rabbi Yosei said, The meekness and unwillingness of Zechariah ben Avkolas burned the temple. Rabbi Zechariah was right on not agreeing to kill a man for an offense that does not call for the death penalty, but wrong on refusing to sacrifice the imperfect animal. He should have accepted to save lives. This is called invoking pikuach nefesh, breaking a commandment to save a life. Rav Tzadok HaKohen of Lublin said that this story is in the Talmudic tractate on divorces, Gittin, because God was divorcing Israel, as it were. First, can this story be corroborated? Yes, in 2 ways. First, the Jewish historian Josephus, who fought in that war, also says that the war began because the Jews did not accept the offering of the emperor. Quote, Eleazar, son of Ananias, the high priest, a very bold youth who was at that time governor of the temple, persuaded those that officiated in the divine service to receive no gift or sacrifice from any foreigner. And this was the true beginning of our war with the Romans, for they rejected the sacrifice offered by Caesar. When many people besought them not to reject the sacrifice, which it was customary for them to offer for their rulers, they would not be prevailed upon. End of quote. Second, the Talmud speaks of a popular saying that goes, because of Kamsa and Bar Kamsa, the temple was destroyed, indicating that the story was true and widely known. Here we can see the three examples of senseless hatred. First, Bar Kamsa interpreted the invitation as an act of reconciliation, and so he came. The host should have seen that, but did not. His senseless hatred for Bar Kamsa prevails. Second, the host publicly humiliated Bar Kamsa. Shame is the worst outrage and stems from senseless hatred. Bar Kamsa was even willing to pay big bucks to avoid it. The Talmud comments, quote, Rabbi Elazar said, "Come and see how great is the power of shame. It caused God to destroy his temple and burn his sanctuary." Unquote. Third, the rabbis present should have intervened but did not. Their behavior caused a person who may have been an otherwise good Jew to turn against his fellow Jews and even against Judaism itself. Another example of senseless hatred. Some will say this was just the straw that broke the camel's back. The war would have happened anyway. Maybe so, and maybe not. This is known as the butterfly effect. The fact that very small differences can produce very large effects. If only the servant had not invited the wrong person by mistake, the disastrous war would not have occurred. The butterfly effect is the subject of a new branch of physics called chaos theory. It was started in 1972 by an American mathematician named Lorentz with the following comments, quote, "A butterfly flapping its wings in Brazil can cause a tornado in Texas. The present may determine the future, but the approximate present does not approximately determine the future." Unquote. Now, we must acknowledge that all events have a low probability of occurrence. No matter what happens, a small change sometime in the past would have caused them not to happen. The butterfly effect refers to the times when the events in question are of a massive character. We can find examples in the Torah. If Lot had not slept with his daughter, we would not have had King David and would not have the future Messiah. If Joseph had agreed to become the secret lover of Potiphar's wife, he would not have gone to jail, would not have attracted Pharaoh's attention with his ability to interpret dreams, would not have become viceroy of Egypt, would not have brought his family to Egypt, and the Jews would not have been enslaved for centuries. We can find other examples in history. In the year 43 BCE, Queen Cleopatra of Egypt seduced Antony while he was involved in a civil war with Octavian, who later became Augustus, the first Roman emperor. The French philosopher Pascal wrote that if her nose had been shorter, the whole face of the world would have been changed. He meant that she would not have been considered as beautiful. Antony would not have been seduced, would have paid more attention to the war, would have won it, and Rome would have remained a republic rather than become an empire. In 1905, Hitler applied twice to the Academy of Fine Arts in Vienna. He was rejected both times. Had he been accepted, he would have become an artist. We would have avoided World War II and the Holocaust. In 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated in Sarajevo because his driver took a wrong turn and met a killer. This started World War I. All historians agree that the worlds just blundered into this war. It also ushered in World War II. In 1918, a British soldier, Henry Tandy, was fighting in France in World War I. He had a German soldier in his line of fire. He decided to spare that soldier's life. That soldier was Adolf Hitler. In August 1945, the target for the second atomic bomb was Kokura, not Nagasaki. But the bomber could not find his target and dropped the bomb on Nagasaki instead. In 1999, the spacecraft Mars Climate Orbiter received some commands in inches and pounds, but it was expecting meters and grams. The billion-dollar mission was lost. Benjamin Franklin wrote this poem about the death of King Richard III at the Battle of Bosworth Fields in 1425, when he fell from his horse. Quote, "For want of a nail, the shoe was lost. For want of a shoe, the horse was lost. For want of a horse, the rider was lost. For want of a rider, the battle was lost. For want of a battle, the kingdom was lost. And all for the want of a horseshoe nail." Unquote. Let us conclude. In 1965, the last Lubavitcher Rebbe said, quote, "Every person has an impact on his surroundings. When a person blows in a room within a room, this affects the temperature at the North Pole. For the entire world is in a unified state. And so when a change takes place in a certain part of the world, there must be a change throughout the world. So be wary of the butterfly effects. Be very scrupulous in everything you do, because even actions that seem minor can have cataclysmic consequences.